Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Every day there are countless books and articles that are published offering the key on how to make your business a success. It's easy to feel overwhelmed trying to keep up and run your business. That's why Deb Creer created the Business Power Hour. Keep up on the latest trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. Let the Business Power Hour do the heavy work for you.
Good morning, good morning. I am Deb Creer, and I am passionate about giving professionals the tools that they need to make themselves and their businesses as successful as possible. And I am so excited to talk to my guest today because we're going to be talking about some things that are a little counterintuitive to what we have been told being an entrepreneur, and especially a solopreneur. And so please join me in welcoming Allan Ngo to our program today. Welcome, Allan. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Deb. Thank you for having me. I'm wonderful, and I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Great. Well, let me tell folks just a little bit about you, and then we will jump into this. So Allan Ngo is, and I've said your name wrong both times. Allan is the founder of Digital Solopreneur. He used to co-own a fast food franchise, pulling down $20,000 a month. On paper, that was a win. In reality, it was thin margins and constant staff turnover. In 2017, he walked away. He realized that he was built to teach, not to manage a kitchen. Today, his one-person digital business puts more profit in his pocket than the restaurant ever did. No overhead, no staff drama. So please join me in welcoming Allan to our program today. Allan, how are you?
I'm super well, and yeah, that's just a quick nostalgic walk down my path, and I'm happy to tell the story behind it.
Cool. Well, tell us more about how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, for sure. So during that time when I had the franchise business, that was around the time that the book Rich Dad Poor Dad was released. And my friends and I graduated college around that time.
Okay.
So we were like, have this idea of, hey, cash flow, right? That's kind of the big idea behind the book. Like beyond salary, it's like passive income. So that's why we got into the franchise business through the loans from our parents as well. And along that, while we were running that, I was a minority shareholder. So I was also working in a bank. So the two locations are nearby. So I'm the one who checks on the restaurant. It got to a point where we thought that it was turnkey with the franchise. But what nobody tells you is like, it's not really turnkey. The day-to-day.
Right. Yeah, you get the main things, but you still have to run the business.
That's right. I mean, the broken ice machines, running out of products, our managers applying to work overseas, kind of treating our restaurant as a like stopgap, like a stepping stone. And from there, I also had some stress from the corporate work, mixed in with some personal challenges, relationship challenges. And it came to a point where I found myself being burnt out from employment and burnt out from entrepreneurship. And I've always been like a good student growing up. So I came to a point where, hey, both sides aren't working out for me. And I studied all these years to reach this point. So I felt like I was becoming an educated bum at the time. I didn't know where to go. And that time, my best friend and I had our birthdays are like 2 weeks apart.
Okay.
Mine comes first. And whenever my birthday comes, he'd greet me happy birthday and we talk about life. Like, okay, at this age, are we where we want to be? And every year it's always no.
Right.
It's always no. But this year in particular, I think most of us were going through some challenges, and he just floated the idea of, hey, let's try to apply for this scholarship. So it's a China scholarship where we study language and business for 10 months. So kind of for us, if we get accepted, maybe it's a sign for us to kind of shift gears. I pushed through. My friend kind of bailed and went to law school. So I eventually came. No big deal. So I was a, I got accepted, and I had to quit my job then.
Mhm.
Um, and after going on that trip, upon returning, I wasn't sure what my next step is. The franchise is still there since I have partners.
Mhm.
I wasn't sure if I was going to go back corporate.
Mm.
But so in between jobs, I was online most of the time. I
Mhm.
figured, why not make money online? And this was
Mhm.
like early 2009, 2010.
Right, when
So
that was still pretty new.
it was pretty new, yeah,
Mhm.
especially where I'm from. Like we're still like
Mhm.
5 years behind
Mhm. Mhm.
from everyone else.
Mhm.
So um at the time I typed in the magical words how to make money online and landed to a site called Odes. Now it's called Upwork.
Mhm. Mhm.
So from there I got like a project and it
Mm.
paid. So my job then was like as an assistant bank manager.
Mhm.
So the pay I got from Odes was like my take home pay was around 4 times my net pay
And a
from the
lot less
bank.
stress.
Exactly. No travel, just at
Mhm.
home.
Mhm.
It did pay me like per hour. So sometimes, oh, taking a bath takes too
Mhm.
long. Like I'll just earn money from it. so um so that kind of opened my mind
Mhm.
to, oh, this is legit.
Mhm.
Because back then, early days, Wild West, like online, it's just all scams, right? So
Mhm.
I realized it was real. And when that project ended, I helped out in our family business. We
Mhm.
were doing wholesale trading,
Mhm.
but the seed was planted in my mind.
Mhm.
So I wanted to find a way where I don't have to get paid per hour, but I can still earn online. And that's where I explored affiliate
Mhm.
marketing and email marketing.
Mhm.
So fast forward, I became one of like the top affiliate marketers of one
Mhm.
product owner here
Mhm.
locally.
Mhm.
I was earning more than my salary at
Mhm.
my peak.
Mhm.
And that's when I started um, taking this more seriously because,
Okay.
okay, information
Mhm.
is something that
Mhm.
people are willing to pay for.
Mhm.
And I finished accountancy.
Ah.
So I never, all along, I thought I would be counting other people's money.
Mhm.
And I was surprised with email marketing where I could just send emails
Mhm.
in my voice without being salesy
Ah.
and
Mhm.
be able to get strangers who've never seen me pay me money.
Ah.
And that
Mhm.
was like
Mhm.
a mind blowing experience for me.
Mhm.
Like I can sell just by being myself
Mhm.
without going outside of my home.
Right. Right.
And so I did that full time in 2017.
Mhm.
Um, Started to have an email marketing course myself.
Mhm.
And by 2024, after studying digital products for about 10 years, I started helping others build their education business.
Ah.
That's when I started venturing into digital
Mhm.
solopreneur.
Mhm.
So that's what I do now. So I tend to help folks
Mhm.
build scalable digital
Mhm.
product businesses
Right.
and services.
Mhm.
So
Mhm. I love it.
they can build a one person
Mhm.
business teaching what they know
Mhm.
basically.
Right. I love it. And the thing is, and you mentioned this, we get caught up in the word revenue, right? And
Mm-hmm.
income. But income is not the ultimate, right? We have to remember that there are expenses that come out
Right.
of income. So revenue is actually what we should be looking for, profits,
Right.
not just the income. And so we do, it's like you said, you start chasing that money, make more money, make more money. Well, as you make more money, typically there are more expenses. And I'm
Right.
including time in there because
Mhm.
that is, and I think so many people do forget time is our biggest expense.
Right.
And so it's that hamster wheel, right? We get caught up in running that hamster wheel, make more money, make more money, make more money, and pretty soon the wheel is just run us over. And I love that you realize that and then thought, how can I help others to deal with that?
Right. Right. Because I felt that firsthand while I was working with the family.
Mm-hmm.
I would spend my all my leisure time
Mm-hmm.
building this up. I didn't start off with affiliate marketing, email
Mm-hmm.
marketing. I
Mm-hmm.
tried everything.
Right.
Blogging.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I was building my email list, I was texting everyone on my contacts.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And that was when texting was not unlimited. So I had to pay like in our
Oh
local
yeah.
currency
Yikes.
one
Mm-hmm.
peso per text.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that
Mm-hmm.
was like I would try everything,
Mhm.
because I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't like, what
Mhm.
I like. So I just
Mhm.
tested everything.
Mhm.
But that's the beauty as well of having the internet,
Mhm.
because I would imagine somebody like me
Mhm.
wouldn't have this opportunity
Mhm.
online,
Mhm.
because I just prefer to be on my own by
Right.
myself. But
Mhm.
now I'm talking with you halfway
Mhm.
across the road
Right.
in
Mhm.
our homes,
Mhm.
and that's just a beautiful
Mhm.
thing.
Right. Yeah, technology has made this, it's wonderful because like you said, I mean, we're oh gosh, I don't know how many thousands of miles apart, but we are
Right.
12 hours apart.
Uh-huh.
And so, it's Monday morning for you, for me, Monday evening for you. And because of technology, that's gone, right? We can work
Mhm.
whenever. But that comes back to that question of time because we can get caught up in that. Well, I have to be working all the time. And the important thing is to work still the time that works best for you, but obviously making adaptations for the people who you're working with.
Right. Right. And a part of that, I guess, with my experience
Mm-hmm.
with time, there's a reason like I have a full year calendar behind
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's because if you notice some highlights there, I highlighted some important birthdays,
Mm-hmm.
important occasions, travel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because when I guess when I started off, and folks who are starting off online, that's what the one thing that they want, like time freedom, right? A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people
Right. And we all
would
assume,
even
hey, we're going to have so much time. No.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they're even willing to earn a little less
Mm-hmm.
for a little more freedom
Mm-hmm.
at a time. But sometimes we don't really the problem I notice is like we don't quantify
Mm-hmm.
what that means. Like we have that romantic idea
Mm-hmm.
of spending time, but but once you get started,
Mm-hmm.
you start like
Right.
spending more time than
Mm-hmm.
you did at
Mm-hmm.
work.
You're checking
Right?
emails at 10 o'clock at night and, on a
Exactly.
holiday and all of those various things.
Right. There's no boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why in my community we talk about the idea of there's liberation and
Mm-hmm.
limitations,
Mm-hmm.
in the sense that a lot of folks it almost goes hand in hand, the idea of passive income
Mm-hmm.
and time freedom,
Mm-hmm.
right? But the way we think of passive income is, hey, we'll reach a certain income level
Mm-hmm.
where we could just invest it and
Mm-hmm.
earn passive
Mm-hmm.
income, and that's when real time freedom comes in.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's challenging to get that big of a nest
Mm-hmm.
egg. It
Mm-hmm.
takes time to reach that nest
Mm-hmm.
egg. But like for me, I have like a 10-year-old daughter, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it takes me like 15 years,
Mm-hmm.
to reach that nest egg where I'm really comfortable, I'm missing out like 15 years if that's
Mm-hmm.
just my
Mm-hmm.
priority. So I feel like I read this book called Die with Zero.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the idea of like, hey, like the traditional sense of giving your heir your wealth, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
by the end of life
Mm-hmm.
you
Right.
give it to them,
Mm-hmm.
and their idea is like, hey, if you live until 90
Mm-hmm.
and your kid is already 70, by the
Mm-hmm.
time you give your wealth to
Right.
them, it's gonna
Yeah.
their
And
income
maybe
is
they
gonna be
should
this
be
small.
standing on their own, right?
That's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
his idea was like, hey, maybe by the time they're 18, you give them
Mm-hmm.
like 20 grand
Mm-hmm.
rather than like a big
Mm-hmm.
lump sum at the end, because
Right.
that 20 grand.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it was talking about that's one part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Another part is what he calls the memory dividends,
Mm-hmm.
right? The
Mm-hmm.
earlier you experience some memories,
Mm-hmm.
the longer you can remember it
Mm-hmm.
throughout your life.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of weaves into how I run my business,
Mm-hmm.
where, hey, time freedom, since you're a solopreneur or you have a small
Mm-hmm.
business, you can actually dictate
Mm-hmm.
that now. You don't
Right.
have to wait
Mm-hmm.
until you have a
Mm-hmm.
giant nest egg.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about just working. The point that isn't working just 1 hour per day,
Mm-hmm.
because in reality,
Mm-hmm.
I like work.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I have extra
Mm-hmm.
time. I like work too.
Mm-hmm.
And even if I had all the time in the world, it's not also healthy to just
Mm-hmm.
spend it entire day with
Mm-hmm.
my daughter, because
Mm-hmm.
she has to spend time with her
Right.
friends
She
too.
needs to go
She has
have
to
her
have her
friends. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
exactly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes we romanticize time
Mm-hmm.
with family, but
Mm-hmm.
you don't really spend 24
Right.
hours with your
Right.
family. That's too
Mm-hmm.
much
Mm-hmm.
too. So
Mm-hmm.
um so why not hey, just
Mhm.
for me, I operate the idea of like the minimum viable day.
Mhm.
What I mean by that is here are like 2 to 3 main tasks
Mhm.
that I do every day.
Mhm.
That's minimum that will
Mhm.
inch my business forward.
Mhm.
It will not grow leaps and bounds, but it's moving forward. So sample of that activity could be one email to my email list,
Mhm.
uh, maybe one outreach to a possible
Mhm.
partner,
Mhm.
perhaps running one new ad campaign.
Mhm.
That could be it for the day. Then
Right.
if I need to attend an event for my daughter, I
Mhm.
can do that.
Mhm.
If there's nothing going on, I could just work more.
Mhm.
But
Right.
at least have that protected barrier. I have this
Mhm.
minimum dose
Mhm.
for my business.
Mhm.
Then after that, because life doesn't run on our schedule.
Right.
It's like
Right.
it runs on their own
It has
schedule.
its
So
own agenda for some strange reason, right?
exactly.
Mhm.
It doesn't make an appointment with you ahead. So it
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
happens. So
Right.
when
Mhm.
it gives me that protection where
Mhm.
if something happens,
Mhm.
I just have to get
Mhm.
these few things done,
Mhm.
then I
Mhm.
can live my life.
Right.
So that's the idea of the minimum viable day. So
Mhm.
minimum things that I need to do to
Mhm.
keep the business
Mhm.
running.
Right.
Because that way you can enjoy the flexibility right now
Mhm.
without necessarily having to wait until the end
Right.
because you can't control all the
And we
factors in
don't
life.
know. I mean, you might be planning
Exactly.
to live in your 90s and oops, something happens in your 50s, right?
Exactly.
There's definitely a quality versus quantity. You could
Mhm.
decide I'm going to work on 10 ads, but because 10 sounds good, right? Ooh, 10 ads. But that takes maybe 6 hours.
Mm.
And the one ad that does really, really well, probably better than the
Right.
10 that is the thing. I think it's a book. I seem to remember it's a book. It's definitely a saying, work smarter, not harder. And I think that is so true.
Right. Right. Yeah. Um, it's wonderful. And of course, like when we do things like that, I remember I came across a group that I'm in. They were asking like, what's one thing that looking back, what would be something that you would advise yourself when it comes to business? And my take on that is, if you find something that's working, just keep doing it. Um, because what I experience is I tend to get bored after a
Hmm.
while, or I
Right.
just feel that
Because
I
you're
need to
doing the
do more
same
things.
thing. Hmm.
Right, right. And after doing this for a while, I realized that if you have something if you can reach to a point where it's working so much that it's boring, that's actually a privilege.
Right.
Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
right. And just keep doing that. It's typically the volume, just
Hmm.
repetition,
Hmm.
repetition,
Hmm.
um, is really the key because the it's not always greener on the other
Hmm.
side.
Right.
And when I work with clients,
Hmm.
I would help them with like their sales flow, their
Hmm.
funnel,
Hmm.
and they would ask me what they would tell me. Okay, once that works, then can I work on this next thing?
Hmm.
Then I was telling them that's the beauty of it. If this works, you
Keep
might not
doing
even
it.
need to do the next thing. Yes, keep
Hmm.
doing it
Hmm.
and don't do the next
Hmm.
thing. And
Right.
that's when it clicks
Hmm.
for them. Oh,
Hmm.
I like that. Like
Hmm.
it's hard for them to fathom that this one funnel, for
Hmm.
example, it's my entire business.
Hmm.
And when I said that, hey, if it keeps working, let's do some math, right? And if it works, then
Hmm.
that's all you need to
Hmm.
do.
Hmm.
And
Right.
they'd be surprised. Oh,
Hmm.
I like that. It never crossed their
Hmm.
mind that this
Right.
could be enough,
Hmm. Well,
right?
and
So
because it's something they do very well, it
yes.
reduces the time that they're spending on it because it's
Mm.
just it functions on its own.
Right, right. And right now we're running one such process where my partner and I are doing like weekly webinars,
Okay.
and it's the same thing.
Hmm.
So right now we have an open cart,
Hmm.
and we're running ads to the next
Hmm.
launch,
Hmm.
and we're planning to do that for at least the next 3 months.
Hmm.
Basically, that's our business. That's
Hmm.
one thing
Right.
repeatedly
Hmm.
because it keeps things
Hmm.
simple. It
Hmm.
gives you chance to
Hmm.
refine things.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, it's a webinar, so one session we just focus
Hmm.
on show up.
Hmm.
One session we just tweak retention,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
that's where and it can take us a whole year to really optimize the whole thing,
Right.
but at least it's on repeat.
Hmm.
And as I have more years under this, I have a renewed appreciation for the boring things.
Right. And of course, our problem is we see the bright, shiny objects.
Right.
And it's like, ooh, they're doing that. And we don't even stop to think what it took for them, whoever them is, to do it. We just think, oh, we should be doing that. That's the next latest and greatest. And we've certainly seen that with, even big companies misstep. I remember, I don't remember when it was, but several years ago, Facebook or Meta, it might have been Meta by then, but anyhow, they developed their own smartphone. And of course, it was going to be very tied into Instagram and Facebook and all of those things. And it bombed. Man, it really bombed because people went, we don't need another smartphone. And we see that all the time with people. They think somebody else is doing it, therefore I must do it too. And they forget that what they've been doing has been working just fine. But as you said, it's boring. And well, fine, go run a marathon or something, right? Do something else.
Right. That's a wonderful point that you brought up. I recently saw an interview between two creators, and they started their journey in YouTube, right? In YouTube as like just expressing themselves. It became big. It turned into a business, right? And they're having a hard time kind of deciding whether they're torn between, do I do film videos that I want or film videos that I know will get views because I have overhead now, right? And that's where I thought, I think this is where a lot of people have this notion about putting, I guess, the word job has a negative connotation, right? That's what I'm trying to get away from. And what I noticed, like when I accept job, like what I do love my work, but I consider it a job, right? And I feel that those creators that I saw, they have millions of subscribers. I think if they just accept the business as the job, then they just create things like for the business. Then to your point, like run a marathon, like you do that on your leisure time, because that way you're not going to be torn. Like as you mentioned, like we're 12 hours apart, so it's nighttime on my end. So it's my conscious decision to fix my hair, change clothes, be presentable at 9 p.m. because this is my job. Right. So it's not something that just because I'm home doesn't mean the standard lowers. Right. And I think accepting that hey, yes, we do this because part of it we're passionate about what we do. But let's not forget that we have to bring a certain level of professionalism. Right. Like I have to be here 10 minutes before the call because that's how I would show up in corporate. That's how I should show up in work. So that's why for me, job is a positive. Job is positive. Looking at what you do as a job, it's okay. Like even if it's creative, even if it's an expression, because that's how you create distinction. Right. Again, liberation and limitations, right? So having a clear demarcation where your leisure starts and your work ends, it's important because if you have them mixed, then boundaries would never end. You're checking emails at 2 a.m. And that's going to be, it's hard to switch off.
Right. One of the sayings that drives me nuts is work-life balance. And if you only have two things, that means it's 50-50. I mean, that's the only way you balance, right? I'm not good at math, but I get that part. And life is not that way, as we've been saying. I mean, there are days where if you're working on a project, you might put in 14 hours. And another time where, say, your daughter has, here in the United States, we do a thing called field day, right? Where, and that's something that lasts all day. And, or maybe it's a hockey tournament or, a spelling bee or whatever it is, maybe just, like we said, spending time with her. And, and you need to spend the amount of time that you spend there. I mean, thinking, well, wait, if I spend an hour with her, that means I get an hour business. No, you have to just do what works for you.
Right. 100%. And
and I am a firm believer that family comes first, no matter what. And that's not always the way that a lot of people think, and part of that is because they're like, well, I have to work to take care of my family. I get that, right? But I remember there was a woman and that I was wanting to do kind of just an informational chat with, nothing,
Right.
nothing heavy, nothing deep. And she'd had to reschedule a couple of times, not a big deal. And she finally said, this is really important to me. So I'm going to do it while I'm at a thing with my daughter. I'm like, okay, this will be interesting. And so, she comes onto the Zoom and this is like July, right? And she's all
Right.
bundled up. And she's in Washington, D.C. And I'm like, okay, unless something weird has happened to the world. And her daughter was at an ice skating lesson. So she was in an
Okay.
ice skating thing. And she said, I'm just sitting here doing nothing while she's out there practicing. And so
Right.
she and I had our Zoom call. Now the daughter came up. I met her. I had them, turn the camera so that I could see her practice. I mean, I thought it was great fun. But like we've been saying, you do what you need to do, but her priority was her daughter. And that was,
Mhm.
that was the way it should have been. And if say, she'd taken a tumble and she said, oh my gosh, I need to go. Fine, then you end the call and you go.
Right.
But I also thought it was great that I talked to the daughter. And I've done that before. I was doing a podcast a couple weeks ago and the gentleman's 6-year-old son wandered in because he works from home. And, he's kind of, trying to shoo him away, right? And I said, ah! And so, we got the kid on camera who thought this was great fun. And I said, tell me what you think your dad does. Now the kid, he knew. I mean,
Hmm.
that was really interesting, but it took 2 minutes. I mean, and then he wandered back out.
Right.
But it showed him a little bit of business also. But like we were saying, it's not either or, but you do have to as much as you can focus on what you're doing at that time because our brains can only do so many things.
Right.
But it's very interesting. And the same thing with the concept of time is, and we were talking about this before the program started, we have to make time for ourselves,
Mhm.
whatever that is, reading a book, napping, doing whatever. I tell people, for me, it's the airplane rule, right? The mask drops down and you
Mhm.
put your mask on first before you can help somebody else. So if we're burning the candle at both ends, and you mentioned burnout, right? Then you're not good to anybody.
Right.
And so we absolutely have to take care of ourselves first. And I think that is a hard concept for a lot of people.
It is. It is. And because I guess it feels, when you think of that, the first instinct is it
Hmm.
feels selfish,
Hmm. Right.
right? And a lot of, like, for us working, we're providers,
Hmm.
right? So we want others to be taken care of
Hmm.
first,
Hmm.
even if it means sacrificing
Hmm. Right. Hmm.
our own well-being,
Hmm.
which we don't necessarily, put out
Hmm.
loud, but in
Hmm.
our minds,
Hmm.
like, okay, as
Hmm.
long as they're good,
Hmm.
I'll make the
Hmm.
sacrifice,
Hmm.
right? And I think it's understanding that taking care of yourself is
Hmm.
actually selfless, in the
Hmm.
sense that,
Hmm.
because it's also hard to take care of
Hmm.
yourself, right? Like, it's
Right. Hmm.
going to the gym,
Hmm.
eating good food.
Hmm.
Like I never really cooked before my
Hmm.
marriage. So
Hmm.
when I got married,
Hmm.
um, I cooked my own, like, chicken breast,
Hmm.
beef.
Hmm.
I'm not good, but it's edible.
Right.
But it takes time. It takes
Hmm.
time,
Hmm.
and um, first, it's costly.
Hmm.
It's less
Hmm.
costly,
Hmm.
but more importantly, it's like, it also shows for me what's important beyond just, like, taking care of ourselves.
Hmm.
It also shows my daughter
Hmm.
that, hey, here are the things that dad does,
Hmm.
right? Because my daughter is part of the school's swim club.
Hmm.
So I was also showing her, so she would do this one exercise where they hold the body, where it's like an ab exercise
Hmm.
that they do.
Hmm.
Then my wife was telling me about it. Then I was asking my daughter, is this how you do it? Because I do have a home exercise
Hmm.
where I do the same thing.
Hmm.
So at least I can show her that, hey, even when you're at this age,
Hmm.
it's important to take care of yourself,
Hmm.
right? And I have her help me with my meal prep. So she would do the seasoning
Mhm.
and I'll pour it. And it's because I'm showing her that, hey, this is something that we need to do
Mhm.
as we grow older, not just now that you're young.
Mhm.
Because firstly, it also what I discovered is it also helps me with my work. If I feel good about my body, if I'm in a bad mood,
Right.
I would go to the gym
Mhm.
and I would tell some of the trainers there would tell me like, hey, it's good that you're here at this time, yada yada yada. I was telling them sometimes I just need to distress.
Mhm.
Right.
Right.
Um
Mhm.
and also when you're at home all the time,
Mhm.
sometimes like sometimes when the kid doesn't behave,
Mhm.
there's some it's not as peaceful. Sometimes it's also a good way to like escape, have a different space
Mhm.
for yourself.
Mhm.
And all those, I feel like even when I'm working out,
Mhm.
even when I'm preparing for my own food, those are things that I feel strengthens the business.
Mhm.
Because I would notice that when I work long hours, I get really cranky and my energy the next day is down.
Mhm.
So if I look at the whole week as a whole,
Mhm.
as a big piece,
Mhm.
then those like hour sessions at the gym actually helps yes, it's eating up. That's 1 hour less of work,
Mhm.
but it makes like the 4 hours of work
Right.
much more
More
potent.
productive. Mhm.
Yes,
Mhm.
exactly.
Right.
So,
Mhm.
and even like for us, like we're in a tropical country,
Mhm.
sometimes opening the AC can
Mhm.
feel indulgent.
Mhm.
But when I was talking about this with my friend, we computed that it's gonna be an extra like it's less than an extra $100,
Mhm.
the power bill,
Right.
but your productivity will shoot up.
Right. Because
And
you're
it's
not
those small
hot and
things.
icky and
Yeah,
Mhm. Mhm.
exactly, exactly. Your thinking is you're clearer, you're comfortable,
Mhm.
right? It's those small things.
Mhm.
For me, I have traffic here is horrible.
Mhm.
So sometimes I indulge in like getting an Uber for myself. So for us,
Oh,
it's called
okay.
Grab
Mhm.
rather
Mhm.
than driving because
Mhm.
sometimes if I have an event to go
Mhm.
to,
Mhm.
I don't know where to park. If it's a
Mhm.
new place,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
gonna
Oh,
take
that's
so
just
much time.
stressful. Mhm.
Exactly. Traffic going there.
Mhm.
So that's part of my budget.
Mhm.
I have a budget for that
Oh, I
because
love it. So you prioritized it. That's what we're
yes,
saying.
because
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
buying back time by
Mhm.
doing that. I
Mhm.
could study while in the
Mhm.
car. I'm
Mhm.
not stressed. When
Mhm.
I'm at the event, I'm
Mhm.
energized. I'm not
Mhm.
stressed with the
Mhm.
driving.
Right. You're not
So
still
it's
thinking,
those
"Oh my God, that guy cut me off," and yeah. Mhm.
a hundred
Mhm.
percent,
Mhm.
100%. So those small things,
Mhm.
like those are still things that feels indulgent.
Mhm.
But as entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
you have to protect your
Right.
energy
Mhm.
and your psyche.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and for some, that might not. I'm talking with I got the chance to speak with my ex colleagues. I was telling them about this, like
Mhm.
having budget, even if I can drive, that I book cars. And for them, like, so that's a very entrepreneurial way of thinking, like
Mhm.
trading time
Mhm.
for money because they
Mhm.
wouldn't think of it that way.
Mhm.
Because of course, for us as entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
our income revenue isn't
Mhm.
fixed, right?
Mhm.
So you have to work for it.
Mhm. Right.
So for them, since they're on a fixed salary,
Mhm.
it doesn't give them
Right.
extra
Mhm.
benefit for
Mhm.
to indulge in those things, right?
Mhm.
So since they have a cap,
Mhm.
it makes more sense for
Mhm.
them to save money
Mhm.
on from
Mhm. Right.
from getting an Uber. So
But
those
they
small
could
things.
also, rather than driving, maybe as they're the passenger, they're doing, they're listening to an online book that is,
Yeah.
about, something that's going to help them, things like that. I mean, that's the thing is,
Yes.
you know, you can be using this for so many things.
For sure, for sure. And those are like little I wouldn't even say luxuries. I feel
Hmm.
those are tools
They're right,
that
right.
you
Because a
could use,
luxury
right?
you think of as, oh, maybe I shouldn't do it.
Right. It's too
Hmm.
bougie.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
it is
Right?
but
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
but these are things that
Hmm.
really help me because I
Hmm.
could really feel the
Hmm.
difference.
Right.
Like if I book a ride, once I come back, I can still work.
Hmm.
And as opposed to when I drive, when I can come
Hmm.
back, like I don't have the energy to do
Right.
anything. So I
Hmm.
could really directly point
Hmm.
to a
Hmm.
benefit, like a
Hmm.
financial ROI
Hmm.
from the
Hmm.
time that
Right.
from the money I
Hmm.
spent
Hmm.
for
Hmm.
for the transport.
Hmm. Right. Yeah, and it is about, again, taking that time for yourself. As you were talking, I remember during COVID, especially here in the States when everything was completely shut down, right? And I was talking to this woman, and she was a pretty high-powered executive. But and so a lot of stress at her job. And at home, she had multiple kids. And she told me, she said her commute time was her only alone time.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
she said, she didn't have to be in lockdown very long before she figured out she needed that time. And
Right.
so every day she would take a drive. And she
Mm.
said, it wasn't usually as long as what her commute normally would have been. And of course, it was just one as opposed to, both directions. She said, but
Right.
in that half hour, that 45 minutes, that whatever that she drove, she said that was her me time. She's,
Right.
sometimes she just listened to music. Sometimes she thought about things that the kids were doing. Sometimes she listened to audiobooks or podcasts or whatever. She said, but she still needed that time where nobody was, saying boss, 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 mommy, 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 right? And
Right.
and she said, originally she thought of it as silly, stupid, and indulgence, a luxury, and then she realized how important it was for her to have that time. And I love that idea. And it does sound silly, right? She said, so she drive 15 minutes one way, turn around, drive back 15 minutes,
Right.
and she said, but that time ended up being her most important time of the day because she really could then focus on whatever it was she needed.
And that's cheaper than therapy.
Hmm.
So,
Oh yeah. Hmm.
and one thing I would sometimes do as well to have that peace of mind is I work at home, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes you have a shared living space. I would book an Airbnb for like 3 to 4 days. It
Ah.
just
Hmm.
work kind of
Hmm.
like do like longer term planning, or if I have something
Hmm.
important to plan out the next few months, I would do that. I've done
Hmm.
that last year.
Hmm.
Um, and it just like I live in Chinatown where it's more commercial,
Hmm.
like trading, not
Right.
really
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
not bougie area, like
Hmm.
kind of grit and grind. So
Hmm.
I would book in a place where there's
Hmm.
parks,
Hmm.
so I would work. If I want a break, I'll walk around.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, it's like it's an investment
Hmm.
as well,
Hmm.
but at the same time,
Hmm.
I would have like 3 blocks of like 3 to 4 hours of work just spread across the day.
Hmm.
It's really powerful for me.
Hmm.
And um I guess it also gives him a break from
Hmm.
me.
Hmm.
The family a break from me. But yes,
And I
it
think
kind of
that's very critical. A lot of times
Mhm.
they do need a break from us.
Like you don't really think of us
Hmm.
that way, right? But
Hmm.
yeah, it's true.
Right. And I know authors who do that.
Mm.
And they book a hotel or whatever. I knew one, and I thought this was very interesting. He would book an international flight, right? So like a
Oh
12,
wow.
14-hour flight. And he'd go to wherever and then almost immediately turn around and come back.
Oh
And
wow.
and he said, first of all, he started doing that because he loved getting the miles, right? And
Mm.
so, most of his trips the rest of the year he didn't have to pay for. But for him, that was when he got a lot of big tasks done. That was when he wrote. That was when
Mm.
he, all those. Now, to me, that would never work. I mean, it's so distracting, but
Right.
that it worked for him.
For him.
And
Yeah.
he put on the noise canceling headphones and all of those things. And I just thought, but what we're saying it is you've got to find what works for you. Maybe it's just a
Yes.
10-minute walk, right? Or maybe it is, several days away in a hotel or a B&B, just to kind of give yourself that time and give your and maybe maybe you are in an office and you take a little mini sabbatical. Your employees will appreciate that. um
Right.
but yeah, we're but I think that is the thing. As a solopreneur, for the most part, we are working from home.
Right.
Not there's not a lot of reasons for people now. If you are a service provider, like say a chiropractor or somebody like that, I mean, you might still have an office,
Yes.
but for the most part, we're home. And I think more than anything, sometimes we just need a break from these four walls.
Right.
And it's good to, like I said, get out, breathe fresh air, Listen to the
Mhm.
birds, do those things. And when you come back, you'll be much more productive.
Right, right. And sometimes like I'm not sure if you've experienced this, Deb, but sometimes we're also bad at rewarding ourselves. So sometimes when I want something, then there's a hard task that I'm procrastinating on. I would attach that as a carrot for me.
Ah,
Oh, just to give me a reason to, okay, I'm gonna
mhm,
earn
mhm. Right.
this thing that I don't really need, but I just want. But
Well,
that
in an
also
office, it would be a bonus, right? So why not
right,
give
right.
ourselves bonuses?
Right.
Mhm,
Because like it also gamifies things and
mhm,
keeps it fun.
mhm, mhm,
So if you're doing the same thing,
mhm,
same boring task
mhm,
that's profitable,
mhm,
if you want to spice
mhm,
things up, maybe
mhm,
not create a new offer, but maybe reward yourself with something
mhm,
else.
mhm.
In that way it kind of justifies things. And um like one thing that I do with my daughter is um she does have some of her allowances,
Mhm.
and there was a time that she wanted to spend like around $10 on a toy.
Ooh.
Then I felt that that was a bit too much,
Mhm.
but it was her money. Like it, like
Right.
sometimes
Uh-huh.
Christmas, birthday,
Mhm,
so she would
mhm,
earn it.
mhm,
I like that she has the initiative
mhm,
to use her own money, but
mhm,
also I don't want to train her to kind of just spend whatever she got.
mhm.
So
Right.
it kind of
Mhm,
put me in a
mhm,
conundrum because
mhm,
it was so sudden. So I
mhm,
told her after a few minutes, I was telling her, okay, you can pay for this toy,
mhm,
but don't pay for it with money.
mhm.
You pay for it with behavior. So
Ah.
what I did was I paid for the toy,
Mhm,
but I told her now we'll have a notebook.
mhm,
So every time you do, like we have 5 tasks there.
mhm,
If you
mhm,
do this thing today, I'll give you 10 points, 10 points. 10 points is equivalent to like 10 pesos in our
mhm,
currency.
mhm,
So that way, whenever, because sometimes when we're in the toy store, she would ask for, hey, can we buy this? And it's
mhm,
like so arbitrary, like, should we
mhm.
give it to her or not?
Right.
At least
And
now,
and did she really want it, or did she just like the bright shiny object, right? Mhm,
right, exactly.
mhm,
So what happens now is
mhm,
like, hey, you don't have to ask permission from us. If you
mhm,
want it, if you have
mhm,
enough
mhm,
points, you can have it.
mhm,
Right. So it's kind of also my way of training her
mhm.
for her behavior,
Right.
also
Mhm.
understanding the
She's
value of
earning it.
money.
Mhm.
Yes.
Right.
So I told her
Mhm,
when she wanted something, okay, you don't need to ask my permission. You have
mhm,
this many points.
mhm,
And that's when it clicked on her that,
mhm,
oh, so that's what
mhm.
it meant.
Right.
Like I don't
Mhm,
need to
mhm,
ask for it. Like I
mhm,
work for it.
mhm,
So in some ways, like we also have to give ourselves that
mhm.
as a reward
Right. Mhm,
for tasks that we do,
mhm,
right? Because it keeps it fun, it keeps
mhm,
us motivated.
mhm. Right.
And like
Mhm,
little luxuries in
mhm,
life is not really um it's not overindulgent,
mhm,
but I feel it keeps us sharp
mhm,
as
mhm.
well.
Right.
Having something to fight
Mhm,
for, because if we can't reach that goal, it
mhm,
tells us something about ourselves,
mhm,
something about this process is
mhm,
hard. So
mhm,
it's a good way to create that feedback mechanism on why I'm procrastinating on doing
mhm,
this thing.
mhm.
So yeah.
Mhm. Right. I love that. Yeah, and like we said, you would earn a bonus in an office,
Right.
and so, and those are for making specific goals and all of those things, right? So yeah, set it for yourself. And maybe it's that you buy a new computer or a new book, or
Right.
whatever it is. So it might still be business related, but
Mhm.
there's still something that is there that is fun. And one of the things, and I think this always amazes me when I talk to business owners and entrepreneurs, and especially small and solopreneurs, for some reason they think they can't have fun.
Mhm.
And they can. I mean, and we've all heard the saying, it's not work if you're doing what you love. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, there are parts that I don't love that have to be done.
Mhm.
I had to send an email to a client today that, good client, they've been my client for 10 years, to say, hey, y'all are way past due on some invoices.
Right.
I hate doing that, right? Because that seems
Mhm.
mean. That's icky. Of course, but. I have bills I have to pay. I mean,
Ah,
and so, but and of course they immediately responded. They apologized. They said, "Here's what we're going to do." And so, there are things that we're not going to love,
right.
but it is part of it, but I want to come back to the boring makes money.
Mm,
And I think it's so important because we do think we have to change. We have to do something new. We have to do what somebody else is doing. Yeah, and obviously you have to make updates. Like you were
yeah,
saying, a webinar, right? Technology has changed how we do those things. Maybe it used to be a webinar that you recorded and then people paid for and downloaded. Now it's a live Zoom or a LinkedIn Live or
right,
whatever it is. I mean, your technology has to
right.
change. So that's part of what keeps it maybe a little bit more interesting. But I always tell people, why are we reinventing the wheel all the time?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is working. You can tweak it, but don't do something totally different. And I also love that you talk about, we don't have to be doing a whole bunch of things. And I get myself caught in that trap, because it's like, well, okay, this is here, but ooh, let's do this and this and this and this and this. And then,
Right,
my little squirrel brain just, it can't focus on any of that. And I think that's the other thing is, we can only do a certain number of things. And
right,
some people can do more, some people can do less, but find what works for you. And I think we need to remember boring is good.
mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure, for sure. And um, that's I have a friend who has an agency. And I was telling her like, there's this book called like Built to Sell by John Warrillow, if I'm not mistaken. And the story there is like they have an agency, marketing agency,
Mhm,
and they were doing everything,
mhm,
posters, ads,
mhm,
whatever.
mhm,
And the advice of the mentor was
mhm.
fire your biggest client because their biggest client is a bank,
Mhm,
and the bank kind of, since they're the biggest client,
mhm,
their leverage,
mhm,
even if it's like a perfectly good poster,
mhm,
the boss who has no art
mhm,
aptitude just
mhm,
change the color,
mhm,
right? And they would be overworked.
mhm,
And ultimately, the idea of the book is like, hey, just focus on, you're really good at doing logos,
mhm,
document how you do the logos, and
mhm.
just do logos all the
Right.
time.
Mhm,
And that's when it, yes, there's a dip in the income
mhm.
and the
Right.
revenue to start,
But then
but
they
it
had
made
more
everything
people they were doing logos
yes,
for. Mhm,
it's they're
mhm,
understood. Like
mhm,
I was speaking to a friend who's working with an agency in
mhm,
Singapore,
mhm,
and that agency just focuses on like tutoring services. Like all their clients, because like their education system
mhm,
there is very competitive.
mhm,
So everyone would go to school and afterwards go to these
mhm,
tutoring
mhm,
centers.
mhm,
And they're an agency that only helps those tutoring
mhm,
centers.
mhm,
And they have a very streamlined
mhm,
process of how to do things.
mhm,
And that's what I feel like are like boring businesses,
mhm,
because like they can only say so much to make
mhm,
this tutoring center unique. But because of their expertise, they have a process to do it.
mhm,
And even my friend who has so much, does a
mhm,
lot of
mhm,
agents in the agency work,
mhm,
starting to just do Facebook ads.
mhm,
So she's starting to call down her client list.
mhm,
And those are the signs of, those are
mhm,
boring businesses,
mhm. Right.
right? But at the same time, when you have space to, when it's boring, everything has a process, everything is
Mhm, mhm.
documented, it
Right.
becomes easier,
Mhm. Right.
right?
And then you
And at the end
can
of,
serve more people doing that.
yes, exactly. You
Mhm,
can serve more
mhm,
people. And if it's documented, you can
mhm.
have people
Right.
help you do it.
Mhm, mhm,
And it gives you more
mhm,
free time for yourself
mhm. Right.
and be more intentional with what you do.
Mhm,
And yeah, that's just kind of like that's really the idea. Like,
mhm,
because if it works, the typical lever that I try to pull is just do more of it.
mhm,
Like run more ads to
mhm,
it, to the
mhm.
same thing.
Right.
Right. So yeah, I mean
Mhm,
that's the ultimate goal, because we have this fascination
mhm,
where, not really fascination, but
mhm,
when we see others do a lot of
mhm,
things, then oh, that might be the hottest thing. But what I learned over the years is like everything works. Like if you're good at TikTok, it will work. If you're good at webinars, it will work. If you're good with affiliate marketing, it will work. We don't in our life, we don't have enough time to apply everything.
Right.
So it's really just you have to decide what's your lane.
Right.
And if it's working, just keep doing that and just enjoy life.
Right. Right. And then of course you toss in this new little thing, new as in, haha, AI, right? And
Right.
all of the things saying, oh, AI can help you do more, better, faster, blah, 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 blah. Now, I use AI. I love AI. My Chat GPT has named itself. It's Stan. I don't know why it thought it needed to be Stan, but I said, if you gave yourself a name, what would it be? And it said Stan. Okay. And yeah, it's like, really? But to me, it is just a tool. But
Right.
this program is part of C-Suite Network, and one of the things that we have with C-Suite are councils, and so we have an AI council, of course, right? And so I thought, oh, I must join. So I'm on the AI council, and these are people who, oh my God, I've said I can't go anymore because they're using AI at a level that is so far beyond anything I need or will do.
Mhm.
And,
Mm.
and so part of it was I'd get off the call and I'd be guilty, right? Oh, why am I not doing that? Or worse, why am I not
Mm.
smart enough to be doing that? All of those things. And it finally dawned on me, it works for them, but it doesn't
Mm.
work for me, right?
Right.
I don't need to be doing all of those fancy things that AI can do, because I can be doing it myself, or I just don't need it, right?
Right.
Well, AI can help you reach 10,000 more people today. I don't want to reach 10,000 more people
Right.
today, right? And so I think that's the other thing, it's the biggest bright, shiny object at the moment. And so my advice to people is, if you use it what works for you. But I'm curious, what do you think about AI?
So it's funny because in the industry, I could see some people lean 100%
Mm-hmm.
over index with AI. Others
Right.
would lean on the opposite side where they go
Mm-hmm.
out of their way to
Mm-hmm.
say that this email was written by a human. Like for me, my North Star is what I call my community the effortless earners.
Mm-hmm.
And and we have a North Star, we have a code, right, that we live by. And whatever um for me, whatever helps us get there,
Mm-hmm.
I'll use.
Mm-hmm.
So if an AI tool will help us get there, I use that. If
Mm-hmm.
an AI tool is a distraction,
Mm-hmm.
I will ignore that.
Right.
So at the end of the day, I treat AI just like internet. Before there's no internet, it's just a tool,
Mm-hmm.
right? I remember the time of rotary phones where or dial-up internet, where if somebody calls your line, like you get cut off from the internet,
Right.
right? So eventually it's a tool, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it has been helpful for us with
Mm-hmm.
teaching our kid
Mm-hmm.
when she has
Mm-hmm.
assignments, we helps us explain.
Mm-hmm.
So what's important for me is like we're clear on what our goal
Mm-hmm.
is and use the tool that's available to help us get there,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's AR or not. Right? So that's my take on it because in reality, AI is like it's gonna be here. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
I can't
Right. It's
imagine a
not
world
going
where
away. I mean, and
exactly
yeah,
right,
and we know it's actually been here a fairly long time.
right,
People are like, oh, it's brand new. No, it's not brand new, people. We've been
yeah,
using AI for a long time. It's just,
gotcha,
but yeah, I mean, it's interesting because yeah, it's a great tool. It does help us
right,
do so many things, but
right,
at the same point, we can go down those rabbit holes.
right,
But yeah, it's it's interesting. But to me, of course, one of the biggest things, and I'm gonna get up on my little soapbox here, is it can dehumanize. And I think that's where we've got to watch it. I mean, if somebody pitches being a guest on my podcast and I can tell it was done by AI, nope,
mm,
they're done. Can it help them write the pitch? Sure. I love that. But when I get 5 pitches in a day and they all have from 5 different people the same identical wording, No.
Mm.
Now, I mean, and so that's the other thing is whatever tool we're using, remember that people, especially as a solopreneur, they're working with us. They're
Yeah.
not working with the computer or whatever it is. And when we remove that personal humanizing level, people don't really want to work with us anymore.
Yeah. And I think it goes because like when you put your even beyond AI, I think it's intentionality.
Right.
Like, hey, for example, I respect your time enough that I'll put time and effort into what I write as the topic, make sure that I give you the headshot, yada, yada, yada. And I think just kind of using AI just shows like that lack of intentionality. I'm not saying that those who submitted were that, but maybe they're just busy. But it takes that extra effort. That's why sometimes when I apply for podcasts, I would include like in this case, I gave you a link to the pronunciation to my last name.
Right. And
Sometimes
I still said it wrong.
you did well. You did well, definitely. And sometimes I would include like a Loom video, for example, just to show that extra touch and kind of it's understanding the awareness as well that hey, everybody, like for example, to your point, like there's that stigma with like having mass pitches with AI. And if you're aware of that, then going out of your way to send like a personalized video would be to your advantage. So there's always opportunities everywhere, right? And
I had
understand
somebody
at
tell
the
me
end of
they deliberately would go back and make typos so that it was, and I thought, okay,
right.
that was unique.
That was unique. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Unless they're really bad at using
I
AI.
know.
That's why. But so yeah, I mean, there's that um awareness because I think AI is neutral. You know, at the end of the day, it's there. How we use it also shows our character and who we are and how we view relationships, right? Because we don't want to outsource relationship building. That's the one human thing that AI can't replicate. And if we treat it the way we like an algorithm, then we'll get treated the same way back.
Right, right. Well, oh my gosh, this has been so much fun, and I would love to have you on again because I think this is something that, especially for solopreneurs, we need to think about. And like I was saying, as I was going through this, I thought, oh, I make all those mistakes. Well, I let's not challenges maybe, not a
Right.
mistake. But yeah, so I love this. But for people who are saying, Alan, I need you. How do they find you and what are the services that you provide?
Awesome. I actually prepared a special gift for your audience, Deb. So I have this thing called "What Can I Sell?" GPT. So since I help with solopreneurs, with coaches, um, create like recurring, predictable revenue in their business. One of the things is creating offers that would people
Okay,
would like.
okay.
So what can I sell GPT is where you input what you know, what you do, who you help, it comes up with product ideas for you.
Cool.
And it computes how much you need to earn to sell to reach your target income. So they could just visit digitalsolopreneur.com/Deb and they'll get access to that. So they can come up with new offers that will make business easy.
Cool. Perfect.
So yeah,
Thank
you
you.
can also you're welcome. I'm also on LinkedIn just in case people there are wants to connect. So it's Allan Ngo on LinkedIn. So yeah.
Great. Well, and we will have links to LinkedIn and to your website and the free offer. So I love that in our show notes. And this really has been so much fun because it gets us thinking, right? Which is what we should be doing. Are we spending our time the best possible way? Which is really, what it ultimately comes down to. And so as I said, I'd love to have you on again. But until then, do you have any final thoughts that you want to leave everyone with?
Yeah, I think for us, especially on the topic of time, I think one thing that we have to be is to be kinder to ourselves. So for all the time that perhaps we didn't spend the time the right way, for the missed events, missed programs from our kids, the missed time with our loved ones, with our partners, I guess the one thing I'd like to remind people is like to be able to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for those things so that not allow those things to be the burden. Because once we lift that, we can attack life more without the heaviness of the past. So don't let past mistakes from those old times ruin what could be great times in the future.
Perfect. I love it. Well, I'm Deb Creer. I've been having so much fun chatting with Allan Ngo, and until next of Digital Solopreneur. And until next time, everyone have a great day.
Tune in for our next program for even more trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. The Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Creer, is proud to be part of the C-Suite Network.